Hey everyone, welcome back to the third episode of The Gilley Show. I asked a bunch of you guys what you wanted to hear us talk about today, and a lot of it was the inverters, which is something I wanted to touch base on. I have power jack. I know a lot of you guys are now running power jacks, and I also have this Ames right here. But what we started out with, and don't laugh, were these 12 volt, 800 watt, square sign, high frequency, whatever you want to call them, inverters. And we actually had them run these into 12 volt arrays, and we ran a while with this, just running a few circuits through our house. Durable, they work, but you know, this is high frequency, cheap. You can generally go to Walmart and buy that. You're not going to run your house on this. So, I spent a lot of time looking for inverters, okay? And I'm sure you have too. They're expensive, okay? Like, prohibitively expensive for us. When I realized to get something like a 220 split phase on 24 volts, you know, I was finding these Ames. And these are, I found them anywhere from about $2,500 up to $3,500. To us, that's simply a chunk of change, okay? And it's hard to be able to come up with that kind of money to go get this, okay? And I started looking for alternative ways. And I came across something called power jack, okay? And here's another situation. I go to these other solar boards, okay? I'm like, hey, anybody heard of a power jack? How are they? Oh, they're junk. They suck. Blah, 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 blah. Go to YouTube. Okay. So I go to YouTube and I punch in power jack inverters. Okay. And first 4 videos that pop up, I click on them like probably everybody else does when we do a search on YouTube. Every single one of them is some guy putting this 12 kilowatt, which keep in mind with power jack, they are odd like that. Whatever they say they are, like a 12 kilowatt, it's actually only a 6 kilowatt RMS. And what that is constant. And they will give that to you, by the way. But everybody, the first 4 videos I watched are these people with this 12 kilowatt inverter starting up an air conditioning here. One guy had a hard time starting an AC with it. But he was running it off his golf cart batteries, running power tools on it, had a watt meter on it, you know, had a no scope on it. Great wave, gave exactly what it said it would give. I'm like, oh, hey, okay, let me try one of them. So I start looking, and one of those at that time I could get for $600 on eBay, okay? And that was buying it as is. I think they're $650 now. And you will see ours. We actually have 2 of them now. We have an older style that is back here. We actually have the new style, which are 2 boxes. You actually have your transformers in 1 box, and your control box that'll go on top of that. So we actually have one of those on the slow boat from China. Yeah, it should be here hopefully middle of July. And when it's here, we'll actually open up the box, and we're going to go through that with you guys before we install it. And we're also going to video it getting installed into the room in there. I know everybody wants to see our setup. We'll do it. I promise you guys that. But the power jack, if you're watching these videos and you're at our board, okay, you've got to be a DIY person. And by that, I mean a real DIY person. You know, we're people that go out there, we salvage stuff, we figure out how to fix it, we figure out how to work with it, and we make it suit our needs to the best of our abilities. And we all generally do that, okay? Or you have a lot of money. If you got a lot of money, you can accomplish it with just money. But there again, we ain't got it. I gotta assume most of you guys aren't walking around with millions of dollars in your pocket. And I'm on eBay, and that's about what you can get them for and buy them for new. But look, you know, it's still tough to come up with that much money, okay? So I start poking around eBay, and you guys can too. You can get these as factory returns for ridiculously cheap. This is the first one we ever got. I think with shipping it was either $180 or $200. Okay, incredibly cheap. I figured, look, hey, I'll buy something somebody returned and I'll see if I can fix it. It's worth that to me. Okay. By the way, this is an 8 kilowatt, which is a 4 kilowatt RMS, split phase 2 2024 volt. This arrives at our house, and believe it or not, I'm like a kid at Christmas time. My poor wife's trying to calm me down, and I'm bouncing off the walls as usual. We get this out of the box, and it is smashed to hell, okay? The front end is smashed in, the fans are smashed out of it. You know, you got dents everywhere. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. And we're like, you know what, let's hook it up and let's see what happens. Well, when you know it, we hooked it up and it worked. I'm like, unbelievable. So, long story short, straightened all the metal on it, got it all looking good, mounted a fan on the back side of it, okay? And boy, these things are loud, by the way, guys. These power jacks, when the fans come on, woo! They sound like an electric ducted fan jet. They are brutal, just so you're aware of that. When we got it all together and we got it hooked up, we pulled this little inverter off and rewired these to 24 volts, and we hung this on the wall. And it's been a great inverter. I've learned a lot from it. I have blown it up. Look, I've quit counting how many times I've blown this inverter up, okay? That's how I ended up learning power jacks, is over this inverter, okay? You know, I've shorted my grounds to my power lines, to my neutral, you name it, guys, I've done it and smoked my inverter. And this is one of the leading reasons I absolutely love my power jack. It's easy to work on, and then you can get parts. And you can, we'll talk about this, we'll talk about the games here in a minute, okay? I could jump online, get a complete rebuild kit for $100. A main board, a driver board, and all the MOSFETs. I believe now it's a little more expensive. I think it's like $130 now, but either way, it makes it manageable, okay? I don't have to go shell out another $3 grand for an inverter, okay? I screwed up. I can fix it for $100. It's not the end of the world, okay? That is the #1 reason I love these power jacks. Now, a couple caveats about them. Don't use the charger function, okay? I have a buddy, he's a member of the board, and we're actually trying to figure out how to get the charging circuit to work without blowing the MOSFETs up, okay? Every time I've used the charging circuit on this power jack, my 12 kilowatt power jack, doesn't matter. If I use the charging circuit on my power jack, you can rest assured within about 4 days, I got MOSFETs letting magic smoke out, okay? I don't know why, I'm not an electrical engineer, okay? But I'm getting some friends that are pretty electronically knowledgeable. And a couple of them are looking at it. But until then, I don't need the charger function, okay? I am not buying this to be a charger, okay? I'm buying this to be an ATS switch and an inverter. So, I can overlook that and work within that limitations, especially for how cheap they are. That is the incredible thing about them. If it was not for power jack, we would not have solar. Okay, the two things that made it happen, and y'all know I love my IFLAs, and power jack. If these two things would not have combined in my world, okay, we would not have solar. And I mean, that's a plain and simple truth. Is power jack the best thing out there? No. Okay? But for people who don't mind, you know, dealing with a few flaws, okay, will get their hands dirty and take the screws off and pull the cover off. It's not hard, okay? And believe it or not, the inside of this is the same as the inside of this, but different, okay? But you take this apart, you pull some screws out, you replace some boards, and boom, it's working again. And it doesn't matter why it failed, okay? All of them fail. And if you don't think that's true, this is why I have an Ames. it failed. Just like a power jack will, okay? Another member of the board sent me a link one day for this. Thank you, Josh. And, you know, long story short, I was able to get it for 150 bucks, okay? No idea if it worked. Figured we could fix it if it didn't work. Bring it home, and we plug it in, and there goes magic smoke right out of it. And I got Stephen going, ooh! Good times sometimes. So we tear it apart, and there sits a MOSFET, okay? First thing I did was jump online and see if I could get, you know, Ames parts like I would a power jack. Punch in power jack parts on eBay and put it in power jack parts. This was a little bit more difficult. Okay, it turns out you can go directly to the factory and buy parts for this inverter. Okay, not cheap, I'll tell you that right now. And we're very, very fortunate, we have a Radio Shack right down the road here. You're on down there and get 50-cent MOSFET, solder that bad boy on this board.